Alright, this is section 2.1. They ask us to solve quadratic equations by using quadratic formula, square root method, or factoring method. Alright, so the first one says write this in the generalized form, which means you bring everything to one side and you write it from highest to lowest terms. So I subtracted x squared so that x squared would be on this side. I subtracted 4 so I could bring the 4's to the right, or cancel the 4's. Then I added 2x so that everything would be on the left. Alright, you get the x squared, x, and then a constant. That's in generalized form. Number 3, same idea, but you got to multiply all this out. So you get y squared, 2, and your middle term is 1y and 2y. Okay, so you get y squared, 1y plus 2y is 3y, then finally 2. Okay, then subtract 4 and you got it. Number 5 says solve by factoring. So you have to set it equal to 0 by bringing the 12 over. And then x squared is x and x. 12, there's a bunch of choices for 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. But you want two numbers that add or subtract to give you 4. So 1 and 12 is out, because 1 and 12 adds to 13 or subtracts to 11. 3 and 4 is out, because 3 and 4 adds up to 7 or subtracts to 1. But 2 and 6 adds up to 8 or subtracts to give you 4. Okay, so 2 and 6, one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. Just plug one in, try it. Check it by the middle term. Positive 2x and negative 6x adds up to negative 4x. Now each one equaling 0 means each one multiplied times the other equaling 0 means each one is equal to 0. And that gives you minus 2 and positive 6. Same thing here. This one you throw everything to one side and factor. This is the difference of squares. It's 2x quantity squared minus 3 squared. So 2x3 plus and minus. So 2x plus 3 equals 0, 2x minus 3 equals 0. Solve each one, and you get minus 3 halves and positive 3 halves. 13, you subtract 11x, write it in descending order. Factor 5x squared into 5x and x. 6 could be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. I think I tried 1 and 6 because this gives you a 6, that gives you a 5, which adds up to the 11 that you want. Okay, so again, check your answer. 5x squared, positive 6. Now your middle term is these two and these two added together. So negative 6x and negative 5x gives you negative 11x. So each one of these equaling 0 gives you 6/5 and 1. And 15. This guy, you bring everything to one side, and they want you to use quadratic formula. So your A is 1, your B is negative 4, your C is negative 4. A is 1, B is negative 4, C is negative 4. And the quadratic formula is negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Okay, so you plug in all the points numbers you need, put parentheses around each one. Minus 4 is just 4. Minus 4 squared is positive 16. Minus 4 times 1 times minus 4 is positive 16. And 2 times 1 is 2. Well, 16 plus 16 is 32. But we can break this down into 16 times 2. And the square root of 16 is just 4. But you still have that 2 underneath. 16 comes out and becomes a 4. Okay, so you got 4 plus or minus 4, square root of 2 over 8. Everything has a 4 in it, so factor 4 out of the top and out of the bottom. You can cancel. And then you get your two answers here. 1 plus square root of 2 over 2. 1 subtract square root of 2 over 2. And each one gives its own decimal approximation. 17, you got A is 2, B is 1, C is 1. Plug them in. When you simplify, you get square root of negative 7. So you can stop at that point and say no real answer. Now 23, find the exact real solutions. Well, divide by 5, square root, and you get plus or minus 4, exactly. 32, use any method. So 32 I factored. 10y squared is maybe 5y and 2y. 65 could be 5 and 13, I don't know. But that gives me minus 26 and positive 25, which is negative 1. Might want to use quadratic formula there. When you set each one equal to 0, you get 13 over 5 or negative 5 over 2. And then 33. It starts out factored equals 7, but you got to expand that, multiply all that out, and then bring the 7 over, right in descending order. Now you can factor it. And it factors quite differently now. Each one set equal to 0, and each one solved gives you a 2 and a negative 6. 39. They want you to graph it, or solve each equation using the graphing utility. So you type this into your calculator, y1 equals this guy, and you look for the x-intercepts, which are found by doing second calc 2. And then you move to the left, enter, move to the right, enter, then move to the center, enter, and it should give you an answer. So then you want to do the same thing again, closer to the other number. You're going to have to do this twice because you got two places where it crosses the x-axis. 49. 49 says if the profit from the sale of x units is given, what level of production will yield a profit of $1,200? So profit equals 1,200. Throw everything to one side and factor, and you get 20 or 70, both legitimate answers. 51, same idea. They give you the profit function and they say when does it equal 61,800? So you set it equal to that. Throw everything to one side and factor if you can. And I got 10 and 346. Again, you're probably going to want to use quadratic formula on some of these. They're not easy to factor. Part B, can profit of more than 6180 be made? Yes. Between 10 and 345 is where profit is actually greater. 53, flight of a ball thrown upward at 96 feet per second from the top of a building that is 100 feet high. The height of the ball is given by S. Okay, so you've got this building. Okay, and the ball is thrown up, and eventually it comes down. And they ask, after the ball is thrown, how long after the ball is thrown does it hit the ground? So for what value of t does this thing actually equal 0? Because the height of the ball when it hits the ground is 0. So the height of the ball starts at, let's see, oh no, 53, it says how long after it's thrown is the height 100 feet. So this could be S equals 100, the height of the ball. And so you're asking how long does it take to get to this point? So the height of the ball would be 100, okay, and you solve that by factoring and set each part equal to 0, and you get t equals 0, which is useless, that doesn't help much. And then t equals negative 6, or t equals positive 6. So it takes 6 seconds for it to go up and back down and then reach a level of 100 feet. Yeah. 55, wind pollution, where P is the amount of particulate pollution and S is the wind speed. So what values of S will make P equal to 0? So P is 0 and you solve this guy. I multiplied everything by 100 Then I was able to factor, set each one equal to 0, and you get speed of negative 50, which isn't possible, or positive 50, which exists. Then part B, what value of S from part A makes sense, and what does P equals 0 mean in this application? So 50, there are no particulate pollutions in the air above the plant. Okay, so the P equals 0 means that there are no particulate pollution in the air above the plant, but the first one is what number makes sense that positive 50 does. And 63, national health care. I give you expenditures in billions, where X is the number of years past 2000. But the pattern indicates that this will remain invalid when does the model predict that expenditures will reach 7,071 billion. So you set expenditures equal to 7,071. You throw everything to one side, and then you can do quadratic formula. I actually used the calculator and found the x-intercepts. One is 30 and the other one's negative 39.41, which I threw out. You can't have a negative number, and the positive number has to be 30.